Okay, here we go. Solve the following triangle. Little side, or side A equals 5, side C equals 4, and angle A equals 65. So let's start by just sketching a picture. And just label the corners, whatever you want to do. I'm just labeling in this order. If you've already drawn a picture and labeled them somehow otherwise, it's fine. Okay, we only have one angle, and that's 65. I'm going to write that in there. And then we have side A across from that. So side A is 5. Right? And then we have side C across from C. So side C is 4. And we don't know angle B. So we can't find side B unless we know angle B. And we don't know angle C, but we have the information we need to be able to find angle C. This is actually different than the other problems we've done. This one's a little different. Okay, so since we don't know anything about angle B and side B, which two letters are we going to use for our problem? A's and C's. Okay, this problem's a little different, so just in case you think you're already a pro at this, you're not, because this one's different. Okay. So what we're going to do is sine of A over A equals sine of C over C. So what's the sine of A? What's A? 65, so let's plug that in. I started writing A again instead. Sorry about that. And then what's side A? What's the length of that? 5. Now, do we know big C to plug in here? Nope. We're solving for an angle this time. And then we do know little c, so we're going to put that on the bottom, correct? Now what will we do? Cross multiply. So we're going to have 5 times the sine of angle C equals 4 times the sine of 65. Okay, now this time the variable is c, so we want to get that by itself. So what are we going to divide by this time? We're going to divide just the 5. It's not the sine of 5, it's just 5. Okay, so now we learned this back in the last unit on worksheet 6, that when we need to find an angle, we use inverse sine. Yes, do you have a question? Yeah, C is going to be the inverse sine, because that's what we use to break those up, right? C is the inverse sine of this stuff, 4 sine 65 over 5. Okay, so now if you were using one of my calculators, you can just type this in just like it is. But if you're using your iPod calculator, it's a little bit tricky to type in your calculator. So let's do it carefully together. Yes, together. Okay. First, I'm going to do 4 times the sine of 65. So that means I go 4 times, how do I do the sine of 65? 65 sine equals. So that is 4 times the sine of 65. Now I have to divide that by 5. So what do? Divide 5 equals. That gives me a decimal. So now I have 0.7250. So I'm doing the inverse sine of 0.7250. I can either use a calculator, or what else could I use? I could use the green chart and look it up backwards, couldn't I? Okay, but since I already have this on my screen right here, it's already ready to go. Eddie, are you talking the whole time, or are you listening? Okay, so since I have that right there, all I have to do at this point is hit the second button. I hit the second button, so I have the decimal on my screen, and I hit the second button, and I want which button now? The inverse sine, sine -1. I just hit that button, and that gives me the answer. What's the answer? 46.47. Can I just round it to 46.5 degrees, do you think? Is that good enough? Does that work for you? So there is angle C. Okay, now guess what? The other examples we did today, the other examples we've done already today, we've just solved for one little thing. This problem, we are going to do what's called solving the triangle. And that means solving everything that's missing. So what is missing from our original picture here? What do we not know? We didn't know angle C, but now we do. We don't know angle B, and we don't know side B. So what does solving the triangle mean? What does it mean to solve a triangle? That means to find everything. We're not done with finding angle. We're not done just with finding angle C. Now that we know angle C, we want to find angle B, and then once we know angle B, we're going to find side B. We want to find everything that's missing. Okay, so we know angle C. Should I write that into my problem? Into my picture? So this is 46.5, correct? Now how do I find angle B now that I know angle C? Now I can just add them together and subtract from 180. I feel like I need to give you a break or something, but I'm in the middle of a video, but I have lots of people that aren't really focusing. We are almost done. I just need you to focus for another couple minutes. So stop the chatting and let's focus. Okay, so angle B is found by taking angle A plus angle C. So 65 plus 46.5, what does that add up to? What is it, 111.5? Okay, then we're going to take 180 and subtract 111.5.
Oh, wait, just kidding. I mean the answer was 111.5. Sorry, but
Oh.
sorry, that's my bad. It's already good.
Okay, you worked ahead of us, and I'm writing in pen, dang it. 65 plus 46.5. Actually, it is right. Okay, so 65 plus 46.5 equals 111.5. So then we take 180 minus 111.5, and we get 68.5. That is angle B. Okay. So now that we know angle B, how do we find side B? Make sure you use the information that you started with, which is A's. But this time, instead of solving C's, we're going to solve B's instead. So instead of using A and C like we did the first time around, we're going to use A and B. Sine A over A equals sine B over B. Okay, so now let's plug in the numbers. Sine of 65 over 5 equals sine of 68.5 over B, which we don't know the answer to. I am, yes. Okay, so now we can cross multiply, right? So cross multiply B times the sine of 65 and 5 times the sine of 68.5. And then in order to solve for B, we have to divide the sine of 65 from both sides. So we end up doing 5 times the sine of 68.5 divided by the sine of 65. So we've practiced this already today. Let's just do it again. Different numbers, but same process. So one more time in our calculator. Clear everything out. I'm going to make sure you change the second. Look at my second key is still orange. I need to push that so that it's not orange anymore. So then I type in 5 times and then 68.5 sine and then equals. And that's the top of the fraction. So 4.65 divided by the sine of 65. But I can just keep going on the calculator. So now I hit divide, 65 sine, and then don't forget the equals. If you write that answer down, then you're not getting the right answer. You have to hit the equals. So the final answer for B is 5.1. We just solved that entire triangle. We found all of the sides. It gets a little confusing because you have to keep track of what you're trying to find, but I really don't think it's too hard. Don't you think?
No, I think we should knock off
I don't need to knock anything off. You can do that whole page. Nah, you can do it. Do you want me to go through a story problem with you, or do you think you can wing it on your assignment? I think you can do it. I think I want to let you give it a try. I want to give you a challenge. Oh, I didn't fill in these blanks, did I? Okay. Do we have enough information to find the missing side? Yes. What must we find before we can find the missing side? We must find the other angle, like angle B or something like that. Anyway, sorry I skipped those blanks. They're not a big deal. It's just kind of a thought process is all. Okay? Are we good? We feel good about this? We have a half hour to work. I know, I kind of took my time.